Welcome back to the Fast Performance Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Cole Thomas, and my co-host,
Connor Reynolds.
Connor, what is new this week? It's been kind of a lot less busy this week.
Very less busy. Nothing too much, man. Just been going through. I've had, maybe 10 lessons this past week. Where it's been kind of dead. Understandable. A lot of reschedules, a lot of guys going off on like spring break and stuff like that, and so it's been ghosty around here.
I think the after spring break, it'll be different when people start kind of realizing where they are and what their roles are, and then they'll be like, okay, I need to get back in, and I need to do this. I'm not getting enough reps in this certain area, so I need to get some help and doing this. Have you got to see any games of any of the guys you work with?
No, I have not. I don't know. I'm not. I think I'm going to be trying to go to one this Thursday. I think. I don't know, man. Like, I'll be honest. I struggle like being in the stands of like high school baseball, or just like honestly like any. I would say probably like 14 and up baseball. I struggle being in the stands of. Like, just one, you have to listen to parents, and parents that don't like umpires, like they'll complain about umpires, and they'll make up rules, and they'll make up things, and they'll just bitch and bitch and bitch.
Sounds like you're making a critique of Jason here.
I didn't even think of that, but I've actually had to run. No, I'm referring to the parents.
Okay, yeah.
Well, they like I've had, and it's been like I've coached it before. One time I had to like yell at all my parents because like sometimes
was this as a person in the stands or as a coach?
As a coach.
Okay, I was gonna say
we're going through.
You're in the stands, just like shut up, Jimmy.
Yes, like I just like sitting there like listening to parents complain and bitch, and like the example I give, like I was coaching one time, and there was like a very like not common rule that came up. I completely understood what I asked for time. I went out, I asked for clarification. And I was like, oh, okay, like that's what you're like calling. Okay. And as I'm like walking off, all of my parents are still just like yelling and screaming. And I like literally had to turn to my stands. I'm like, be quiet. He is right. Like, we're not getting screwed here. Stop complaining. And I hear enough of it when I'm just like in the stands, and the parents complaining about umpires annoys me. Hearing, Timmy's mom complain about, Johnny playing instead of Timmy, and little stuff like that, or just watching coaches mismanage games. Like, I don't know, dude, like it's painful for me to, and it's not all games obviously, but like there's been enough where I'm just like, I just send me a video of you hitting.
See, I go to those games. I went to one last week. It was the Denver East versus Bear Creek game. I try to stay on the point of home plate, basically, it's right behind. Like, I'm not neutral in any. I'm neutral right down the middle. I don't have any rooting interest. I just root for the players that I work with and the kids that I know. Yeah, but I totally understand it. It's just some of those games are just terrible, but I sit there. I'm like, I'm just here to watch. I'm here to watch the guys that I work with perform, right?
Right.
And like it's different for you because I mean, you're going to see them kind of perform 2, maybe 3 times. Whereas like for me as a pitcher at a pitch, I can go watch a guy start a game and I can actually see him like be a more major contributor. Right. But yeah, like I went to Bear Creek and East. It was not a very good game. Umpire was fine. I didn't really notice. I was more just like talking to people than actually watching the game.
Well, that's the other thing. I'm not social.
It's just true. I'm not that social either, but I force myself to.
No. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's how we get people in the door, Connor. You gotta be nice. You gotta be nice. What are anything else going on? Are we working on any special projects, or are we
special projects? Yes, I've got something in the works. I don't want to disclose it.
Yeah,
I don't want people to steal it. There is one thing I want to give a shout out, and this is something that I've been very true and passionate about for pretty long time, but I haven't been a vocal person about it. Taco Bell, your breakfast crunch wrap, your AM crunch wrap, superb. Like, I don't know if anybody is like ever looking around. Like, it is one of the only places I will get egg for fast food. I don't know why. Like, it's just I don't order anything with egg pretty much at any other place unless it's a breakfast burrito. But go through. They have a steak one that is absolutely incredible. They have a sauce on it. I don't know what
Ooh.
sauce it is, but it's like a breakfasty, queso-y, salsa-y kind of. I don't know how to explain it. It comes with cinnamon delights, which are these little like
Right.
just
They're like the Cinnabon things.
yeah. And then you get a drink, and it was like all $9.
Dang.
And I'm just $9 sounds like a lot, but when you're looking around for like
Right.
other places for a full complete meal, and it fills me up. Like, it is absolutely delicious. If anyone's sleeping on the AM Crunch Wrap, go get it.
I need to try. I'm a Crunchwrap Supreme guy with a cheesy gordita crunch. That's what I go. That's my go-to.
There you go. Any projects for you?
No, not really. Just more watching athletes and watch. I'm just like looking at the scores right now from today and yesterday. I had a kid. One of my kids I've worked with for a very long time. I worked with his brother. It was funny to me. I was talking. He came in on Sunday, and this is one like remember our open transfers podcast we talked about for however long ago that was. I found like this is my case for you need to go fucking transfer because
Same kid.
you're going to a school that does not fucking deserve you. And so he played in a game. He went 5 innings. He had 12 strikeouts and 1 walk, and they lost 6-5. And this is like 3A baseball. I'm like, you should be winning games if you have 12 strikeouts in a game. Because his team had, I think, the final score was 6-5, and his team had 6 errors. The other team had 4 errors. And he's playing on a team like basically they're like 4 or 5 kids on the varsity that have never played baseball before. Dude, and it's just like, dude, you need to not be there.
3A baseball is like not real. It's methodical.
Anything below. There's some 3A.
It's methodical.
That's methodical. There's
mythical.
Anything.
I know.
Anything that's below. Anything that. I mean, there's some good 3A baseball, but it's usually the private schools. The smaller private schools, but everything else after that.
One thing I've found is a lot of other places have a separate league for private schools.
Yeah.
And I almost kind of like want that to be the thing. And with how NLI deals have been going, I'm not saying pay high school athletes. I'm saying recruiting's a thing. Like it happens.
We know it all happens. Well, just whether people are willing to admit it or not.
Not gonna say which coaches, but like
or what schools.
Throughout growing up, there were 2 different private schools that recruited me, like here in Colorado. I've worked with other private schools, and like it's a thing. Let's not act like it's real. Okay, let's just make a private school league and say it, screw it, open it up. Like, let recruiting happen. Let all of the private schools go against each other, have a private school championship, and then have like the other, public school championships. And then let's have like a end of the season round robin tournament or something like that.
I like that.
That way we get more than 22 games.
I know it's one of those like we talked about last week with the cut episodes. Like, it's just 20 fucking games. Relax.
Like, chill out. It's not your career.
No, but I don't know. I sit there and I'm looking at this kid's stats. I'm just like, dude, and I've told him before. I'm like, you need to not be going to the school because that school does not really appreciate him nor deserves him.
Right.
Because one, he's their far and away their best player, and I know they're going to abuse him because they abused him and his brother last year. Yeah. Like, his brother got injured and was like to a point where, the other team's trainer had to come out and say, "Hey, coach, this kid can't pitch anymore." And luckily, he only needed to take like 2 or 3 weeks off, and then he was right back to it. It's just like 2
or 3 weeks. That's the 4th of the season.
I know, but I mean, this is not a school that's going to be competing for anything, and so that's why we've talked about. Like, I just feel like we need to open up the transfer rules in high school because there are some coaches who are going to play guys that they're more biased towards, regardless of.
Well, we don't even open up the transfer, like just make it to where you don't get penalized. Like
Right.
if you like
Oh, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
like
you don't get penalized for transferring.
yeah,
Like you can get like maybe one like do like the transfer portal. You get one transfer free, and then after that, like if you're
no, I don't want to get political. Never mind.
but you know what I'm saying, right? It's like
I know what you're
you can
saying.
get one transfer free, and then after that, like it's that whole like if the first person you meet is an asshole, that person's an asshole. If everybody meets an asshole, you're the asshole. Where maybe you just didn't fit with the coaching staff that you had at your school, so you go to another school and then it works out,
Right.
right? But if
No,
like you go to another school and it still doesn't work out, I'm like okay, then you need to do some self evaluation here.
And it's one of those where it's like I don't know. I would really enjoy if athletes were able to do that. Like I can think of a few immediate instances, and I don't know. Like I think it would help out the scope of baseball. I think it would help out athletes. I think the biggest thing that I wish could happen is I wish high school, and I've talked about this in the past. There should be a Yelp for coaches.
Oh yes,
Like
yes.
there should be a Yelp for coaches where it's like, hey, like it's independent, it's anonymous. You go through and make it verified, right? Like say like, here's my documentation showing that I was like on this team where this coach was present or maybe not present, I don't know.
Right.
Like that should be a thing cuz I feel like a lot of just these coaches need to get slapped in the face of like you are not God. Like you are not what you think you are.
Here's the theory. Like it's something why I'm never on Yelp or I'm never because you know who are the people who it's just like there's like a stereotype of like the Yelp people.
Yeah.
Like Yelp type of who are the people who are on Yelp are the people who love to bitch and complain about things.
That's me.
I know. But it's just like you're gonna go on Coach's Yelp and it's just gonna be all like 1 or 2 star reviews because of some parent who got mad at the coach and
and I think
and
that's
like
where it needs to be.
there's justified complaints and unjustified complaints.
Well, and I think that's where it would need to be verified. And I think you could attach the account to I don't know, like maybe the athlete's name or the athlete. Like you have to upload like not the full birth certificate or something where it's like, all right, like this
Because
like,
you can't put an athlete's name on it or a parent's because then that kid could get punished.
But I'm saying like make it anonymous when it's published, but on the back end of it, maybe it's like
you have to verify.
Like here's my child's birth certificate, or
here's my documentation that he goes to the school.
Exactly, and saying like that way one parent doesn't make 50 different accounts.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like all right,
you got to find a way. You got to find a way to make sure people don't abuse that system. But I think it's a worthwhile idea. It's just like the same. You've got to be able to execute it, and you got to be able to put it in a context where no one can spam it and. A coach is getting 50 negative reviews when he's got 23 players in his program.
Well, it's like because the amount of, and I've thought about this through my years of going through, and there are a couple of coaches I actually use as, I don't know, like guardrails, or like kind of like just stones where it's like I could just royally screw up massively, and I would just have to wait like 2 years until the high school kids cycle through and just start all over again. And like I've seen it with so many coaches that I've worked with, and I'm looking at them and I'm hearing them, put together a practice plan and hearing them like talk about like specific athletes, and I'm just looking at them like, how are you a coach right now? Like, how does no one know about these past things that you've done? Is because if you're just a parent and this is your first child or only child, or you just moved out here, like you don't know, you have no idea.
Well, it reminds me of that. You've got that one coach that is not a big fan of you, but you're right. But like, how many high schools has he been to in the last 10 years?
Yeah,
it's
and the reasons that he is left are interesting.
Right. That's the thing is like there's enough. That's why where high school coaching is in the
jump to the private side, dog. Make it to where if you're a good coach, you rise to the top, you get a lot of clients. Right now, the reason that you have a program that is running is because an athletic director has deemed you worthy, not the program.
Right, and a lot of times those athletic directors need somebody to fill that spot. Like
need.
I've seen some of the coaches who are, and they're like, what is the qualification? It's kind of like that the problem in college strength and conditioning. Like we could have Joel or JC on to talk about that, but that's a big problem where you don't necessarily need a CSCS to be a college strength coach, nor even a high school coach.
And that
And that's
that's
why
one of
there's
my
so
other
many
things.
why so many there's been a lot of problems with kids passing out or like just going too
Even
hard. And
I mean, we could go back to the NFL free agency report that they put out.
yeah,
That the Baltimore Ravens had like an F for their strength guy, and everyone's for years have been wondering, Lamar Jackson, he's always hurt. That's his big thing right now. No one wants to pay him because he's always been hurt. It's like, I don't know. Look at
well,
the
if it was
coaching
if it was,
staff.
if it was his coaching staff, then what was the
And like that's one of my other things, and we've talked about in the past when we're talking about with guys like, are you lifting? Are you eating right? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? The amount of times that kids have told me, well, I'm in, my lifting class at school. And it's like, okay, you know, not shitting on all trainers or high school lifting
no?
coaches.
And like I said, this is not
But
everybody, but there are some very staggering outliers.
And I'm sure if you were to bring this up to other, like to the good high school lifting coaches, they would agree. We agree the same thing we just talked about, coaches in the same space that we coach. Like it's not that we're saying all of them are, but like generally you'll have like, I don't know, the football offensive lineman coach like, hey, you want to come over? We got a lifting gig open for you. Or maybe it's some other teacher or some other PE teacher that just kind of gets thrown in there. And all the time I'll ask, like, how many kids are in your class? And generally it's between 20 to 60. And it's like, all right, how many instructors or how many teachers are like there with you? One or two? It's like,
Right.
okay, well, are they walking around and like doing stuff with you? Or is it more just get lower,
Right.
do this? And like, no, they're just kind of like barking stuff. And it's like, okay, are you truly lifting then? Like, are you truly getting the development that you need in that space? And it, the amount of parents that just don't know like the people that are instructing their athletes, but they're trusting in it, right? And it's like, how, like, we don't expect you to know, but it's also like, if you just do a little digging,
It's just a little due diligence
yeah.
to
And
help.
it's like, oh, how are they qualified and in a position to work with my child? It's like,
Right. That's always kind of funny to me where, you know, when nowadays with the internet, we can all look up like, what's this plumber's qualification to come work on my sink in my kitchen?
yeah.
What's this electrician's qualification to come work on my light fixtures? Or what's this HVAC guy's qualifications to be doing this? But yeah, like it's the same. We don't really like coach it like high school coaches or, strength coach or anything. Like we don't really check their qualifications. Is that
Nope.
like, I don't know who, there's a high school and we have a few kids that train here from that high school where the head baseball coach is a math teacher at the school. I think he got cut like JV baseball. Like he didn't even make it past JV high school, but now he's a high school baseball coach at a 5A baseball program.
Dude.
And like, don't say like, I know I'm not saying that you have to play at a higher level like you and I did to be a coach, but you do you notice when this guy makes coaching decisions, as I've coached against. I'm like, what is the rationale for this? Why is he doing this? I don't understand this.
So the school that I went to after I went to Garden, Northeastern State, okay, the head guy that was there, and I'll preface this, one of the best human beings
Right.
that I've ever been around. Like on my recruiting trip, when I was driving down to Northeastern, my car broke down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about 2 hours outside of where the school was. This dude drove all the way out 2 hours, picked me up. We drove all the way back. And then we had, there was like the banquet, the end of the season banquet that they were having. And like the dude let me stay at his house. Like
Nice.
different stuff like this, where it was just like, he's an amazing human being on the baseball side.
So I love how you use your preference. Phenomenal guy, great, one of the greatest people out.
Like he is such a good dude, and he's not there anymore. He's moved on. He's a pitching coach at a Division I school now. Like very happy for him. It was just like he never played college baseball. The way he got introduced to the coaching staff is he was helping out another college run some camps,
Yeah.
And that's how he got the head gig of the MIAA, which is like really good conference for Division Two.
Yeah. Really good.
And he got it at like 28. And I literally, when I ended up leaving, I had a laundry list of things that just coaching decisions. Like, if I was a coach and I was the player, if I was a coach, I know that this is the wrong move. And like, here's why. And I had like 25 different bullet points with explanations on every single one of them of why this is a bad move. And
It's the problem with you being raised in baseball like you were.
he's
with your dad being who your dad is. Just like,
and
I'm
like,
like,
I know. And like, the thing is like, he's the whole reason why I'm a coach now. Because I
right.
sat there and I go, if this dude can be a college coach, like, what can I be?
Right.
And like, by the way, thank you for starting this career that I'm in now. But like, that's at the
So
college level.
those unintentional, like, okay, I mean, I'll give you some credit.
Yeah, like, I mean, that, like, and that was at the college level.
Right.
Imagine what's happening at your just local 3A, 4A, 5A, like random high school.
Right.
It's wild.
It's great. It's like, I'm not going to bemoan people for getting into the coaching. I think there are more people who need to be coaches, or we need more coaches in this space. But it's just like, there's a little bit of a due diligence, right? And I think that's where the parents can be better, is what's that due diligence that they do? Like, why is this guy qualified to work with my kid? Why am he, how is he going to make him better? And I think that would just elevate the rest of the profession, right?
Yeah.
Because if the coaches that aren't very good, and are looked in, are kind of given like audits every once in a while, then that forces them to become better, or they just go away.
And,
right. And there are a lot of coaches who just kind of need to go away at this point.
And for any coaches that don't think that needs to happen, or like maybe they don't think that, parents would care enough. I was hearing the other day of a local high school around here where a 7th grader was talking to a parent that was a sophomore.
Right.
And they were just like, hey, like, what do you think of so-and-so as a coach? And they were like, oh, like, what do you mean? And I go, well, we've heard of this, and this. We don't really like it, but we kind of just wanted to hear of someone in the program. And they essentially like confirmed all the things that they had heard. So like, younger kids are starting to hear about these things. And it's like you said, what started this whole conversation, the opening of the, ability to transfer without penalty. We need to figure out a way, right? Like, there's enough information now on social media. There's enough information on the internet. There's enough information out there where there needs to be the ability where if a parent does do their due diligence, that they're not penalized for it.
Okay. Sorry. I just got a text notification. I got followed by a Division I baseball coach. It was kind of funny to me.
Yo.
Mr. Assistant baseball, Bladen Bale. Shout out Bladen. At Butler University. So I kind of want to text him, just like, dude, how good is Paul Skeens? That kid at LSU.
Bro, he's disgusting.
All right, so let's.
You want to know something crazy?
Go for it.
When he was at Air Force, he hit like 25 bombs?
Dude, he was good. I mean, like, this kid. So I think we've talked about this prior in a podcast about like the work ethic and how just some guys are just born to play baseball. That guy was born to play baseball.
Different, bro. And here's the thing. He goes from a Division
I tell the listeners now, like, if you have not watched him or watched LSU baseball, Friday nights is usually when he starts. He is amazing to watch. He's like, what, 6'6"?
He's huge.
6'7", about 250. Throws 98 to 100. But gross 85. I've only seen him throw his fastball and a slider. I don't know if his changeup has anything. I imagine he does. This kid is the most polished upper nines to low hundreds guy I think I've ever seen in my life. Dude, Air Force transfer, which makes you just like, why the hell did this guy go to Air Force for his first 2 years?
Here's the thing I will
Other
say.
than just like, I think I've read a bio where he said like his uncle and his grandfather were in the military, so I imagine he wanted to kind of carry on that.
I will say Air Force, and they get dudes, bro.
I know, it's crazy.
Get dudes.
It's fun. Well, I think we were talking about that. It's like how UNC and we'll see how Mike does up there. But it's like, how many good coaches have been at Northern Colorado?
Dude,
How many good
so many.
how many good players have gone to Air Force? It's just
So many.
it's kind of funny how that just works out its way out,
Oh yeah.
and how Air Force is never really a contender for anything, but they just bring in these dudes.
And like the thing is that I mean, Air Force Division 1. Are they still in the Mountain West?
Yeah, I mean they play in a good conference. Don't get
Yeah,
me wrong.
but they have a guy go from hitting 25 tanks in 2 years to him being a PO at LSU. And I just want to have that get showcased.
But it's like one of those, you got to think about how good, like for as
No,
good as he was, how many good hitters they have at LSU. They're just like,
no,
you go focus on
well,
pitching.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, and I want other kids to also hear that as well. Of like, just because you're the best thing at at one location, like just jumping from a to a bigger conference with a bigger school. This dude that hit 20, like, dude, I hit 30 in 3 years, and like that felt like a shit ton. This dude hit 20, and that was at the JUCO and like in D2 level.
Right.
This dude hit 25 in 2 years at the Division 1 level. Goes to LSU, and they're like, yeah, buddy, we got Tommy Tanks, we got some murderers on this lineup, and it's like, yeah, we don't need you to hit. Just go ahead and throw like give us some triple digits.
It's crazy. Yeah, like I mean, I'm looking at his Air Force profile. Like it doesn't have his sophomore stats, but has his freshman stats.
Oh, okay.
Where he's a collegiate baseball news, first team All American, collegiate news as a freshman, co-freshman of the year, Golden Spike semifinalist, first team All American. I mean, he's basically on every first team All Americans as a freshman.
Bro, he was a Golden Spikes finalist.
Yeah, semifinalist.
What?
He started in his freshman year. He started all 48 games for Air Force, including 28 as the DH, 18 at catcher, and twice at first base.
This dude's a god, bro.
He made. I imagine because he was too busy being a DH and a catcher, but he's like made 18 relief appearances on the mound, all coming in games in which he started in the batting lineup. So he's basically like a Houston Street. Remember Houston Street?
Yes.
When he was at Texas?
No.
So he played third base for Texas when they won the national championship. And so about the 7th or 8th inning is when he would do his warm up. So like he would get ground balls and he'd be like throw a flat ground to the first baseman. That's how he would get ready to close out the Texas games.
Bobby Dahlbeck used
to
do that
yeah.
With U of A.
Yeah.
Faced Bobby before.
Yeah.
Not fun.
I faced him pitching, and I think I hit him. And then when I was at Concordia, we played some like one of those like round robin tournaments at Tucson, and we went to go watch U of A play, and Bobby was playing, so I got to see him do that. And yeah, exactly, that's what he did.
Dude, he was he was different.
Oh yeah,
he is different.
He's a big boy. That's why he's maybe on the bubble for starting for the Red Sox again this year. We'll see how that.
Fingers crossed, dude. Because honestly, he's my like when kids ask, they're like, "Oh, like who did you play against?" Like he's my go-to immediate because like I had the most run-ins with him, and now he's like in the MLB. And it's just like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Also, Cody Hoyer, shout out to you playing with the Cubs. Hopefully, recovery goes well, my guy.
Nice.
Got Tommy.
So, all right. Well, let's go. That was a fun little conversation. I guess let's go move on to. We'll go quick on our main topic this week.
Let's do it.
Oh boy, that went a lot longer than I thought it would. All right, moving on to the main topic today. We wanted to talk about, I don't know, this is kind of like, it comes up every once in a while, probably more frequently than it should, but something I had a parent ask about from a kid I've just now recently started working with about getting prepared to play for 2 teams this spring at the youth level. In my opinion, I don't think there's ever really a justification to play for 2 teams in the same season. Just because it's a lot of undue stress, and there's a lot of, if you're going to put a bunch of stress on your body, it's very tough to recover from. And then we're always trying to tell guys like gain weight, and it becomes very difficult. So that's kind of just like my quick 2 cents. Connor, what do you got on it?
I've played on 2 teams one time in my life.
Okay.
It was when I was 12 years old, and I had made the jump from like AYL, just kind of like local, like, not little league, but, not travel ball, that kind of like you're in a league, but it's not like it's travel ball rules, kind of,
Right.
if that makes sense, right? And the team that I had been playing with prior, they stayed together and they were playing in a different league. And then I had made that jump. And so I had played on both of the teams just because they need an extra guy. They're like, come when you could make it. I got some like really funny stories from it, just some good dudes. And I think that was the one time I did that. I still played a total of like maybe 30 games that summer. So it's not like I was like, doing 100 games playing with two teams, both playing 50, but like that was the only time that I've ever played with two teams. And I think it's one of those where, depending on the workload and what is expected, like what those two teams are doing. If like one team is the travel team that, you go and play on the weekends, and the other team, they just, play their games on Wednesdays or something like that. Like, that's fine. I don't have an issue with it. I doubt that's what this situation is. And if that's the case, it's one of those where it's like, why?
Right.
Like,
Like
why?
I've had kids in the past where, I have had a kid who he played up a level, right? So he was like I think he was a catcher, I want to say. So he caught on his upper level teams. It was like a year or two older than what he actually was.
Mm-hmm.
But then he used the younger team they played on to pitch, because he was like, I'm never going to pitch on the older team,
Yeah.
but I can pitch on this younger team that's more my age and my speed. So I'm like, okay, I can see that. I still think it's a little over the top,
It
but
is.
I can justify that a little bit more. But it's like one of those things. Like I wonder, like, are you going to pitch for both teams? Like, if you're going to pitch for both teams, like that's the
Horrible.
dumbest idea
Horrible.
I can imagine.
Are you going to catch for both teams? Horrible.
Or also bad. Like, you need to be like, if you're going to play for both teams, like one that needs to be the main team and one needs to almost kind of be the side team.
Yeah.
Right, where you're using the side team
And it has to be known.
Yeah, it has to be known. Make sure both like coaches know that, like, hey, I'm playing for both these teams.
These are what your role, like, this is my role with this team. Like, this is not like you don't tell the coach what your role is, but like you make it know, like, hey, if I pitch on this weekend, like I cannot be pitching on this week. Like,
Yes,
make it to where it's not a surprise to this coach. Like, oh, hey, little Johnny's going to go in and pitch this game, and all of a sudden that game comes up, and Johnny's like, oh no, I threw this past weekend, or I threw a couple days ago, and then it's like, oh, now you're screwing both teams over. But make it known, make sure that both teams are on the same understanding of what's going on. Make sure you guys are on the same understanding of what's going on.
right. So it's one of those things where I tell guys, we have this huge prevalence of arm injuries, especially at the youth level, right? Like what we talked about on our TJ podcast,
Yeah.
or when we talked about Eric Kresge's article about what was it up, like
Is
arm injuries in youth baseball players are up tenfold in the last 20 years.
Yep.
So it's like
those ding plyos, though.
that's those weighted balls, but.
The rainbow balls.
It's that idea, like what's become more prevalent than ever in the last 20 years. It's guys who play only one sport, guys who play it year round, guys who maybe play on multiple teams, right? Those are the main culprits of this phenomenon that we're seeing.
Yep.
And so it's like, I'm never going to tell athlete, yes, you can or cannot do something. Like, this is your career. I'm just a vessel to help you improve. But you need to understand that what the risks are involved,
right,
and taking on that kind of an endeavor. Like, if you're going to be pitching on two teams, you're only just increasing your risk of injuring yourself. And it's one of those things, like I talked with this parent where I just, and he shoots me a text and he goes, my kid told me that you guys really weren't working on pitching. And I just wanted to know, like, if that's the case and like what's going on. And I just had to be frank with him. Just like, dude, like, it's a stretch to say we haven't been pitching, but your son has a lot of issues that need to be addressed before we,
right,
get going on a lot of the pitching stuff. Like, he's got like a wing scap. He doesn't move very well. He's skinny as all hell. He's probably like 5'10". There's no way he weighs over 100 pounds and all that. And then I get the text from the other day. He's like, oh, he's going to play on two teams. I'm like, he's barely eligible to play on one team with the state that he's in, let alone two teams. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, why are we?
One.
I get it, but it's this idea that more is always better, and it's not.
No,
like, we'll probably get flack for, like, apologies, internet wigged out again there. So like I was saying, like, you're barely in the body type to be playing 2 games, and like you were saying, you know, more is not necessarily better,
Right.
right? And I don't understand this logic of, I have to. Oh, like I was gonna say, we're gonna get parents on this. Or we post this on Facebook or anywhere else where they just go like, my kid really loves the game, right? My kid just enjoys playing the game, so we want to give him all the opportunity to play the game as much as possible, right? And just like, you know, it's okay to say no
Yeah.
to your kid, right? You know, like you said, like more is not necessarily bad. Like how many parents are we gonna get that's gonna freak out if we post this on social, if we post, which we probably will, but if we post this on social media and we'll go like, how dare you tell us how to parent your kids? You tell your kid not to say no when he really loves something. Like, well, you know what kids really love? Candy. Do you say no to them whenever they ask for more candy?
Right.
Like, mom, dad, can you buy me the Skittles? No, son, because that's gonna rot your teeth out. Right?
Or sleeping late at night.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like, can I stay up? No, you've got to go to bed because it's gonna, you're gonna be tired tomorrow and you're gonna be an asshole to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay for parents to say no. Just because a kid loves baseball, which is awesome, doesn't necessarily more baseball is the answer for him, right? I think Jason does a very good job with Brady and Hudson, his 2 kids, of like they both love baseball. Don't get me wrong, but it's like there's a time and a place for it, and it's more like kids just have that ADHD anyway, where summer and spring and summer are the baseball time for Brady and Hudson. Then fall, Brady, like this, at least this last year, got really into football and played football for his 8th grade team. So then he gets, and now he's in, back in baseball mode. It's like you just got to give kids like, you know,
Outlets.
give them a little bit of everything, and don't just be like, just because a kid's really bought into baseball right now doesn't mean you throw him all in there, because that's the easiest way to get him sick of baseball,
Right.
right? It's like if I get a kid, like one day whenever I have a child, it's like I'm really into dinosaurs. They're not methodical. They are, but are they methodical or were they real? But it's just like, what's the point of me buying a shit ton of dinosaur toys?
Right.
And then he's gonna grow. He's like, okay, now this is not even fun because I've lost all creative outlet because now I have all these dinosaur toys. Right? It's okay to say no and be justified and tell a kid like, just because you love baseball. I almost like wonder if like this is even a kid's thing where they're like, a kid's coming up to their parents like, "Mommy, Daddy, I want to go play for 2 teams this spring."
Well, I
Or
think it's one of those where I think it's like the kid, and I think it comes from the parents not understanding the, the give and take, the pros and cons of it, right? And I mean, if I'm a parent that doesn't know, if I don't know, all of a sudden, little Timmy comes up to me, he's like, hey, like Alex's team has an extra opening. We were talking at recess. Like, can I play with him? And it's like, oh yeah, like let me call his dad, let me call his mom. Like, oh, all right. And then bada bing, bada boom. Now they're on 2 teams, and it's like, oh, like yeah, my kid's now playing more baseball because he loves baseball, and he's going to be playing more games, so he's going to get better. It's like not always, not the case. Like there, and we threw out some examples of where it might be beneficial to the player, where one team you're a pitcher on, and that's kind of your role, and you go there, and whatever it is, and the other team, that's where you get to play short, and so you're developing skills that you wouldn't be able to develop if you were just solely playing on the other team. But the chances of that being the case extremely rare. The times of where that is a possibility doesn't, like, that's not what this instance is, right? And so it's like I just feel like they don't know. And then, like you said, when we put this on Facebook, and we're gonna get all the parents that won't actually watch this video, they'll just read the title of it and they're gonna get all upset. And it's because they're finding out for the first time that that might be not the greatest thing, right? Like all of a sudden they're like, wait, what do you mean playing extra games isn't good? Now they're defensive, and now they feel like they're ruining their kid. And it's like, you're not ruining them, you're just not being as efficient with what you guys, time, money, energy, effort, like you're just not being as efficient in what is the most beneficial for your kid in the future. And I think they just don't know that. And, where something like the Yelp or something like that, like just doing some a little bit more due diligence of, is this a good idea? Is this not, might be able to, save or prolong this kid's enjoyment of baseball, or save them from getting injured or whatever it is.
Right. I think something we talk about all the time with guys when they come in, especially like those new students, where it's like you need to gain weight. Like the easiest way to be better at the sport is just getting bigger,
Yeah.
right? And um it just becomes very difficult to do that if you're like it's fine when you're playing one like with one team, but like two, and you'll lose weight still when you're in your playing season, but doubling down on it is like just makes it impossible to add strength or put that weight on. Like I found this article, something we had talked about off air, where how much weight do MLB players lose in the course of a season. So this is on Quora, so it's not the great. It's not the
Take it what
great.
you will.
Take it what you will. But this guy's a writer for some blog or whatever. But someone had asked the question like, how much weight do MLB players lose over the course of a season? And he goes, or do they? And he goes, yes, they do. The 162 games and 186 days schedule is kind of a grind. I know there's no average weight loss because all bodies are different, and pitchers won't lose as much as everyday players. Position players and style of play have an effect on how much weight is lost. Like, say, Ozzy Albies will burn more calories than Travis d'Arnaud, right? Anecdotally, though, I have heard that players lose as much as 20% of their body weight by the end of August. So not even all the way through the whole season, but you lose 20% of your weight. So there's a quote. It's like the only quote I found comes from Bryce Harper prior to the 2014 season, and Bryce Harper is trying to fatten up is the name of the article. And the quote says, "quote I want to go into spring training about 240, 245."
Yeah, Bryce.
Right, said Harper, who weighed around 218 pounds at the end of 2013. So I will quote, I will lose about 20 pounds during the season. So I need to go play more. I need to go play Major League Baseball. That's how I'm going to lose this extra 20 pounds. I'm carrying on to.
That's all we got to do. All right. Now
So
we know.
yeah, it's like so the article, the answer continues like, considering Harper still has single digit body fat that has to wear on an athlete's body down and make it more susceptible to injury if they don't eat well along the way, obviously. So teams have dietitians who monitor the player's health and recommend changes if asked, but their primary function is to make sure the pregame and postgame spreads are filled with healthy, high-protein food and drink. Players, this is something I don't think anybody really understands until they're in that world, but MLB players arrive at the park at 1 p.m. for a 7 o'clock start. The visit to the physio for treatment, and everyone is carrying some kind of nagging injury by May 1st. Like, no one enters the season totally healthy.
No.
Right? This comes with their pregame, and so you thinking to yourself like, if that Harper, and obviously Harper is just one singular anecdote, and it could be different for everybody. I mean, if he's losing 20 pounds over the course of a season, that shows you like we've got.
And they have the best dietitians.
They have the best
everything.
Yeah, they have the best dietitians, the best everything, and they're still going to lose all that weight. It shows you like if you're a kid and you're struggling to put on weight, it's where that playing just doesn't necessarily help you. If you're always burning these more calories than you're putting in, you can't get that 20, 30 pounds or that 15 to 20 pounds we told you to like, hey, put this on. It'll help you a lot. It'll help you immensely. Right. So it's that give or take. Like what's more important to you, your long-term success or playing for these two teams and then in the short term, that's going to give you some level of, I get to play more games. Therefore I'm quote unquote better. Right. But I mean, and I give it the point, like if this is at the youth level, I'm like, I'm not too worried about you gaining weight at the youth level. I'm concerned about you playing multiple teams, but that's just more come from burnout and burnout injuries more than anything else. Then when you get into the high school level, that's when that like is playing for multiple teams actually benefiting you in your actual goals, like getting in the weight room, putting on weight, developing these skills that you suck at, right? So it's that give or take, but I think at the end of the day, it's if you can avoid it, do it. Don't play on multiple teams. And like we said, there are exceptions to that rule, absolutely. But you need to be cognizant of that exception. Like, are you playing multiple teams and you're doing the exact same role on both teams? Then it's becoming it's that those overuse injuries will come in. But if you're using one team as a vessel to work on your pitching and one vessel to work on your hitting / actual like position playing, yeah, I can understand it. I still don't recommend it, but I can deal with that.
Right.
So, anything else on that topic?
not too much.
Nice. All right, wrapping up this week's episode, we'll start out with our baseball reference game. So, Connor, hit me with it.
Me asking you.
Yeah.
Okay. What years?
Oh, my bad. I thought I was going.
Oh.
What years is he playing? I have to pull mine up.
No, well, I got mine.
Okay.
So you go for it.
Yeah. What years did he play?
He played 91 to 08.
91 to 08. Okay. What teams did he play for?
Orioles and Yankees.
Orioles and the Yankees. Did he win any awards?
5-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove, and Hall of Famer.
Oh, Mike Mussina.
God damn it.
I was like, I forgot about that he played for Baltimore for a second there.
That was quick.
Hell yeah. Shout out Mike Mussina, one of the legends.
Shout out.
Legend of the I don't throw very hard, but I just know how to pitch game.
Facts.
All right, you ready?
Yep. What years?
He played from 2007 to 2012, and then he had a season in 2014.
Wild. How many teams?
He played for 3 teams.
What position?
He was largely third base and largely third base.
What number was he?
24 with one team, not 24 and 9 with one team, and then 2 and 44. But the majority of his career, he was number 9. Sorry.
Okay. Lefty or righty bat?
He was a left-handed batter and right-handed thrower.
9 and 24, third base. Awards?
No awards.
All right, number 9 and 24, third base. I'm giving you guys this time so you could go down in the comments and put your guesses. Okay. Let's see here. Ian Stewart.
Damn it. That's a good one. Yes. I was like, dude, what a throwback Ian Stewart was. I used to love that guy. That guy either just hit a home run, he either struck out or he just hit a nuke.
Homeboy loved video games.
Really?
Loved video games.
Dude, I was a kid. I'm like, I remember how hyped everybody was.
Good.
Remember how hyped everybody was for him?
Yeah.
And then just never panned out.
Yep.
10th overall pick in the 2003 draft.
03?
Yeah. Think because what wasn't Jason 03?
I have no idea.
Oh, let's see.
If he was, I was I guess it was some quick rises through the
There were some big rises. So the 2003 draft. Yeah. All right, you want to get you want to hear the top 10?
Let's do it.
Number 1 was Delman Young.
Nice.
Then Ricky Weeks, number 2.
Ricky.
Kyle Sleeth, number 3. Never heard of him. Tim Stauffer, never heard of him. Chris Lubanski, never heard of him. Ryan Harvey was number 6. Number 7 was Nick Markakis. You know, he's got more doubles than Babe Ruth.
Shut up.
No, not kidding.
All of Barry's home runs halfway through his career turned into home runs.
8 was Paul Mollum. He's a little bit of kind of a random guy. John Danks, number 9. Ian Stewart, number 10.
The
So
more you know.
it goes to show you, I'm like, it's amazing how the draft works and like how many guys on there like don't end up really being MLB guys, and
I mean, dude, that's why they had it used to be 60 rounds, right? And then
yeah,
it dropped to 40. Now it's 20.
yeah,
You should be just like casting the widest net humanly possible, and just like, all right, I don't know.
right. It's
They can't go back and play college early, so we'll just see if they buy into our method.
right. What year did Jason? I swear to God, Jason. What was he taken?
Well, he would have been
Oh,
before.
he was
03.
taken. He was taken in 05.
He was in 05? He got through the minors in 2 years.
Yep. Oh no. That was his brother Matt. Sorry. Is this all right, Jason?
I don't think Jason's brother.
No, this is. No, he is. Well, he's got a brother.
That got drafted and played.
Maybe. Let me see.
Last 15.
I feel bad that I don't know. Oh no, he was taken in the 2003 draft.
Last
59th overall.
last 10 minutes have been premier radio. Me trying to think.
I know. I feel so bad. Yeah, it's funny. He's not on notable players drafted in 2003 according to Wikipedia.
Hey, and Wikipedia.
Tony Gwynn Jr., Ryan Sweeney, Scott Baker, Andre Ethier was taken in the second round. Also, Jonathan Papelbon was a fourth rounder.
Shout out, Pap.
Kevin Kuzmanov, God, that's a throwback name. Michael Bourne, Matt Kemp was a sixth rounder.
Really?
Yeah, Kyle Kendrick was a seventh rounder.
We all know Wikipedia is the honest, like,
I
media.
feel it's tough to lie about your draft position on Wikipedia.
Dude, no, I'm saying Wikipedia is the golden source for everything.
Ian Kinsler was a 17th rounder.
Hey, Ian.
Ian Kennedy was a 14th rounder. Oh my God, Jason Mott. You remember Jason Mott?
No.
Oh, he pitched for the Rockies for a hot minute. Who else we get? Daniel Bard. Daniel,
okay.
Still currently playing.
Shout out.
Drafted in 2003. Oh, but he didn't sign. He was 20th rounder out of high school.
Hey, that's pretty bad.
Oh, you're right. For Brian Wilson was a 24th rounder. The beard. We got Wade LeBlanc, Andy LaRoche. I played against him one time. Max Scherzer was drafted in 2000 out of high school.
In 03?
In 03. In the 43rd round, but he did not sign, obviously. And then Lincecum was a 48th rounder that year, but didn't sign. And then Doug Fister was also in there.
Where did Scherzer go to college?
He went to Missouri.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Who else we had? Oh, here's the top 30. Chad Billingsley was in that. You remember Chad Billingsley?
No.
I think he pitched for the Dodgers and the Phillies. He was a long time pitcher. Yeah, he was in the league for 9 years. I always remember I hated when he went against the Rockies. He always did really well against the Rockies. So yeah, all three. Oh, Jared Saltalamacchia. God, remember that guy? Remember he had the long ass name, just the catcher.
Yes. But all I remember is his name.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he had a good career. He had an 11-year career.
I just remember his name.
I always forget. I always like I'll think of somebody else, but like, yeah, that was the thing. Like he was always like, here's Jared Saltalamacchia. He's got the MLB record for longest last name because it just like would crown on his jersey.
Oh, yeah.
So all right, well that was fun. That was like fun
Spielborg.
Exactly, Spielborg. All right, Connor, do you have anything to plug? And where can people find you if you don't have anything to plug?
Fast_RBI for all the socials, everything like that. Go check it out. What about you, Cole?
Cole Thomas Fast is all my socials on the Instagram and Twitter. You can follow Fast Baseball on Instagram at Fast Baseball and on TikTok. You can follow Fast Performance at Fast Performance CEO on Instagram. And you can go to our website, fastcolorado.com, to find out more information about if you wanted to training and all that. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, all the shit down at the bottom on the YouTube. Give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, wherever you listen to this. Anything can help, right?